All right, it's an exciting time. You have made it to the portion of the training where we are going to talk about how to use the Messenger software. Really important, just up front, what I recommend to people is that every piece of training that you've gone through up until this point, make sure not to just watch those videos and skip ahead to this. Make sure that you actually put in the work and start implementing the materials before you dive into a new software. So with that said, let's go ahead and show you first how you're going to go about getting your LinkedIn connections into the Messenger software. So you see here, we are on the dashboard campaign. The dashboard is here on the left-hand side. And where I'm going to go to first is I'm going to click on Clients, go to My Clients, and you see I have a bunch in here, but I'm going to go in here and hit Add New Client. And let's just say we're going to call this Pat's Software Example A. I could put in a description of the company if I wanted to, not necessary. And put in my first name, last name. And I already have my email here, so I'm going to put a fake one, test at 123.com. That seems like a good one, right? These items, it is important to keep in mind, this is not going to create or be putting in your LinkedIn credentials. I'll show you where you do that here in just a second. So go ahead, we hit Create Client, and I should see that here. Software Example A. I'm going to go on this and hit Manage Client, this little icon that has the pencil and paper. All right, so in the client information section, this right here, this is very important. Before you ever run the software the first time, make sure you do put in your LinkedIn credentials in this section. So you just go in and click on this button here, and you would put in the credentials you use to get into LinkedIn. Okay, from there, we're going to go ahead and I'm clicking on this tab here, this Connections tab. This is where we're going to import those connections from LinkedIn. So how do we get those connections? How do we go about that? Let me pull up LinkedIn for you here. When I'm on my LinkedIn account, again, this would be after you've built your database, you have all these prospects, and you say, all right, I want to start messaging them. How do I get them out of LinkedIn so I can put them into the software and get them going? So under My Network up here, Connections. And you'll see this little gear icon here up in the upper right-hand corner. Just going to click on that. And I'm going to go ahead and click Export LinkedIn Connections on the right-hand side. And what I want to save it as is Microsoft Outlook CSV file. So just go ahead and hit Export. It's going to ask me to type in this code to make sure I'm not a robot, which on my best days I am not. South and then CMix. Okay, so successfully exported. You're going to see this is going to then download for me in that CSV file. You don't need to change anything in this CSV file. In fact, for most people, I recommend just once you have it downloading, navigating to your downloads folder, and from your downloads folder, finding this file and uploading that. For those who might want to take a look at it, we'll open it up here. I'll show you a couple things. But the big thing to keep in mind here is if you are looking at this, there are certain aspects of the formatting of this CSV that you really can't tweak. If you tweak it, when you try to upload to the software, it's not going to recognize it. It has to fit this kind of format. So that means no tweaking of column sizes. That means no adding new columns to save information that you want. If you do that, again, it's not going to upload correctly because the formatting will be off from what the software is looking for. Okay, so the CSV file just loaded up for me. As you see here, again, I don't want to delete a column like this. I can't, even though they're blank, something like title, email address. There's a lot of information that LinkedIn has on this CSV that they actually don't give you the information for. I think there's information here about like business street, title. There's all sorts of things that you're going to see these blank ones. You might have you might be compelled to be like, oh, let me just make this easier. I'm going to delete these. If you do that, again, it will not upload correctly because of because of the changes you've made. Same with if you start just editing column sizes, it can make a huge effect. So another thing that I would not recommend doing is if you see a name like this, like Aaron Ross here, he has this question mark after the name. You might want to change that. If that's how someone's name is in LinkedIn, the first time you send your messaging campaign, it's going to search for them by how they have their name. So I wouldn't recommend making any tweaks to that. Really, you can handle all that when you get into the actual software. Something that you can do, but again, you want to be just really cautious about how you go about that, is if there are people on here that you just never want to put into your software for whatever reason, and again, you can put people in the software and not message them. That's not an issue. But if you wanted to only put in a certain amount of prospects, you can, click here, right click, and delete rows completely. There's nothing wrong with that if you're deleting a row. But again, the column length, the column size, the column headers, don't tweak those. Don't start adding or deleting these different items here. It's more if you just say like, okay, everything about Matt here, I just want to remove him as an option. I could delete that, and then they won't be entered into the software. Okay, so now that we have our connections exported on this CSV, let's just go over real quick how we're going to go ahead and get them into our Messenger software campaign portal. Okay, so we're back on the Campaign Manager portal. Again, we're under this tab, Connections. I'm going to go here and click Select Connection CSV, and it'll bring up this Finder. If you just download it, it'll be in your Downloads folder. If you saved it somewhere else, like I have, I saved it to my desktop. We'll find it right here, this LinkedIn Connections. Go ahead and hit Open. All right, so once I've hit Open, I can go in and choose Upload Connection File. You'll see this screen telling me that it's uploading, and you don't want to go in and just start clicking this button a million times. Once it's uploading, it's then going to process, and it'll show you a bar there, and the system will let you know once it's completed that. It can sometimes take a few moments just to get going, depending on the size of your list. But if you're seeing this screen, it is working, and just give it a second. Okay, so we see now it has uploaded and processed successfully. We get this little modal here, so go ahead and click OK. The page is going to refresh, and we're going to see our connections show up below on this page. Okay, so now we are showing that our connections are down below here. We can add 10, we can go look at 10 or sort by 100 per page, and we have all of our connections added to the Connections tab here. One thing that people will often ask me is, do I have to upload this CSV every time I have a new connection? What I recommend is not every new connection going and downloading your CSV, uploading it here for that one person, but working in batches. So if you're doing a lot of outreach for your connection requests and you have a big batch of people who just accepted, maybe go in there, depending on how often you're doing it, once a month, once every couple months. If you're doing it a lot, you could kind of speed that frame up. But really, we're looking to get messages out to these prospects on a time frame of once a month at the most. So if you're uploading this CSV once a month, you should be in line with it. And again, always just take a look. If there's one or two people that you've connected with in the past month only because you just haven't gotten many connection requests out this month, in that case, obviously you don't need to go in and download and upload them if they're not fits. Only if they are people who would be good fits for your campaigns. And again, I like to do them in batches when I've had a lot of connections come across recently.